Hey folks, so I was working on an outdoor kitchen and I was looking up different ideas and I saw some stuff with rocket stoves. And I've never been a rocket stove fan because they're known for having quick, fast heat and then you got to feed them all the time. And so I didn't really see them as that applicable. Applicable. Anyway, uh, but as far as a cook stove, I could see where that might work, and so I looked into some of it, and I had some metal laying around, and I decided to throw one together. And yeah, they all basically have a pretty generic design. There's like two or three different designs, and then they just keep repeating themselves. And so I thought, uh, I'd give it a shot. Um, so let me turn you around here right quick. So I cut part of this off to salvage it, but this tube was on this, and that used to be longer. Um, and so that was my incoming, my feeder, that was the airflow. And this little tube here was a little, it's side drafted in and cuts into here to reintroduce oxygen like it's supposed to have. And I kept having problems with it. And I know that, yes, that's too big of a hole, but I had a cap on it. It wasn't, it should have drafted by all rights. And it wasn't drafting, and it was blowing black smoke everywhere. And couldn't ever get it to properly function. I thought, well, it's okay. Maybe the tubing size, maybe I'll change that around a little bit. Or flip flop it, make a bigger top hole. So I came up with this one here and salvaged parts off of that one to make this one work. And I got hatch on the back there to keep stuff from coming out. Well, you can see that it's all black. It's all creosoted up from trying to force. It kept trying to smoke back out of this, and so it was diverting heat up of this instead of out the top where your cooking surface is. So I got frustrated with it, and I thought, well, I'd reintroduce air. So, put it on its side here. I started punching holes in the bottom in different spots, trying to create a better draft. And that wasn't working. So then I started Googling, why the hell won't my rocket stove draft? Come to find out, there's a lot of that goes around. These things are not, they're more dimension sensitive. They're not a weekend project, throw together with scrap metal, is my point. You might get lucky doing it, but unless you've got a whole bunch of square tubing laying around to make something, and you don't really care about how much time you have invested, and it's like just a hobby thing, I could see where it'd be interesting, but some of this stuff where it looks like they just throw it together over a weekend, it's not really, they don't really give you any dimensions, they don't put much to it. Yeah, I think there's more to it. There's a lot more insulation. If you insulate it, then it burns out this section in here. If you do insulate it, a lot of problems with them. They are not the magic pill everybody tries to advertise them as. Um, the reason I say that is because a lot of people try to say that they're good for like you know if your power goes out, shit hits the fan, things like that, emergency cooking. Um, if you like all your pans black on the bottom, and uh, and you like cooking in heavy smoke, like they'll burn really clean for a while, and I've noticed that on a lot of those videos, they burn like a short amount of time, and they look good. But you go burn them long term, they choke themselves out. They they end up smoking all over the place. They're not that great. And I even went, part one I forgot to bring up, something I did try was the cinder blocks. A lot of people were using cinder blocks on them. I thought, well, cinder blocks are universal. I tore it down, so I can't show you the example of it, but they're all the same, basically. And I went through and I used it, built a little cinder block one, and it smoked just as bad as anything else. Terrible. I cooked on it for probably 2 weeks, and it was miserable. So if that's your go-to survival, what if scenario, oh man, those things suck. These, turn you back around, these little guys, this one's made to look older than it is. This one's probably from the 60s. These little wood cook stoves, if you go looking on Craigslist or antique malls, you're going to pay through the nose, but every once in a while you'll find one in somebody's backyard or at a yard sale, a couple $100, and you can get one that's all put together. Runs pretty good. You just want to check the firebox, the actual box inside. This cast iron pieces, they're on both sides, and let's see here, and there's one piece in the back, and that back one's usually shot, so you want to check for that, because these things are not a one-size-fits-all. If you have a Sears and Roebuck, it's not going to fit your home comfort. So you want to make sure that those cast iron plates are good right off the get. But this thing here, I finally got tired of screwing with that rocket stove deal, and I drug this out of the kitchen and put it out here on the porch, and it's nice. It's more efficient. It does blow blackout. I had that turned around because we had a windstorm last night when I was cooking dinner. But it does blow black, but that's because this stack is short right now. And I don't want to punch a hole in the rafters because I just got through putting this roof on, and I want to see how it holds up before I go whacking holes into it. So this being short, it's not getting enough draft, and it is so it's blowing a lot of black out. But once you get it plumbed in properly, it's they're pretty efficient. They use a lot less wood than those rocket stoves do, and they hold the heat too. Them rocket stoves, I was pumping those things full of wood all the time, little tiny twig pieces, and splitting and chucking it in, and no more turn around, and you'd get some more stuff cut up for dinner, chopped up to get in the pan, and hell, man, you was back to doing more wood into it again. Seemed to me. This one here, man, you can throw a couple of chunks in, a couple of pieces of these 1-inch boards or three-quarter boards. Three-quarter boards in, and after you get the initial fire started, you throw 2 or 3 of them in there, and it'll keep you going for half an hour, 45 minutes sometimes. Just depends on how you're running your fire. And you got an oven, So that is a far better survival shit hit the fan plan than these stupid little rocket stoves. Not to say that they don't work in some applications or somebody hasn't worked out all the bugs, but I would not depend on one if I were just sitting around depending on one. If I didn't have one professionally built by somebody who does it for a living, I really wouldn't, or didn't have the time to become a professional rocket stove builder, I wouldn't waste my time with it. Anyway, thank you much for your time. Enjoy yourself. Bye.